Hello, my name is Tara and I'm a myotherapist and Pilates instructor. Thank you so much for joining me for a 15-minute workout. I am targeting today more strength and more in a HIIT style. So we're going to do 40 seconds on and 20 seconds rest. Now the reason that I find this important is because I'm inspired by a lot of, I suppose, like groin strains that I'm seeing clinically at the moment. So I have a lot of clients that are footballers, myself included, and when we're starting pre-season, we have like muscle growth happening as well as like conditioning and fatigue and trying to manage that. So in that process, I find that this is one of the exercise regimes, I should say, that I would implement just to make sure that I'm, I suppose, loading correctly and like stimulating, I suppose, like more medial strengthening of our adductors and our groin. And the reason is because a lot of the time, these ones, so our adductors and also our rotators, are probably put under a lot more pressure. So they're tight anyway. So we have like a lot of like capacity with our hip joints, which is super strong, but we do have I suppose like a need to like put load through that and also strengthen through adductors. So this little workout is really targeted for that, but anyone can do this, and I hope to hear some feedback about anyone who just wanted to try this workout today and see how they went. So I do have some props included today. You can use a football. Alternatively, you can also use a magic circle, which is something I use a lot in Pilates. It's basically for like focusing on like our adductors and our inner thighs and that control there. So we'll be focusing on that. Now, also just going to point out things as we go, because I will be sending this to a lot of clients that I have, especially if they are going through, I suppose, like a little bit of groin strain rehab at the moment. Now, sometimes I might get technical, but if you're just doing this as a workout, you are welcome to go ahead. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with our legs good together, and we're just going to do two little mobilizations that you can do at any time in your life. And this is just a really good way to, like, I suppose, check in on like what might be tight or just free things up. So even like a desk break would be really awesome for. So we're just going to keep our legs nice and straight. We're just going to separate our heels as far apart as they can go. Then we're going to separate our toes, and our feet and our legs should be hip distance apart. Now while we're doing this, just try not to lock your knees back. So a lot of people have locked knees. I've worked really hard to strengthen my knees, and so I don't really go into that hyperextension there, but this is fine. So from here, we're hip distance apart. We're just gonna bend and hold on top of our knees. Now we're just gonna do a modified cat-cow stretch. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna push and round our spine, and then we're just gonna reverse that spinal curve. So a lot of people sitting at their desk or in their cars all day get really tight in these positions, and this is called an anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, so when we're doing all these exercises, I want you to think that you have a tail, and the tail is coming through the legs, and if in doubt, we want to be a little bit more neutral, so squeezing that tail coming through the legs. Okay, so just from here, keep your hip distance apart. We're just going to round and then return. So hip distance apart. Another tip is making sure our knees track over our second toes. And also, if we push through our big toe, we're also going to stimulate support from our foot. So if we're not doing that and we collapse through our arches sometimes, we can really come into this position. And a lot of the time for knee injuries, so why I'm like so inspired with this myself, is because when you have a knee injury, you go into that mechanic a lot in the game. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have an injury at all. There's lots of factors that come into why you have an injury. Sometimes you just have an injury and it's so sad. But if we come into this, we need to be strong to get out of this. Okay, so if we push through and we train to push through the big toe, we're really going to focus on all the muscles doing what they're meant to do. Okay, so let's get started. And we're going to do 9 exercises. We're going to do each exercise twice. I'll give modifications as we go. We're going to do 40 seconds of work and 20 seconds rest. I'm going to say stop when we are stopping. But otherwise you're welcome to just jot down or like have a look in what I've written. Now, we're we're going to get started. So our first exercise in our 20-second rest as well, I'll tell you what the next exercise is. So our first one, we're going to grab our football or our magic circle. We're going to prop that in between our knees, and we're going to be doing a magic circle double press. So having a weight nearby. Now you can use a weight, a kettlebell or a weight, or you can just use a bag of potatoes, or you don't have to use anything at all. Okay, so making sure that our knees are tracking over the second toe. We're going to come down. We're really going to come down into that squat, and the magic circle helps me achieve this a little bit further. We're going to stand up into our squat, and then we're just going to bend the elbows behind for a little tricep press, and then we're going to come back down, little bicep curl. So the whole time we want to make sure those knees are tracking over the second toes. So really hard work for the adductors, but really just help with squat range there for some people. Okay, stop. Our next exercise is going to be a single leg hip hinge row. So you can do this with one weight or two weights. It's better to start with a comfortable weight. We're going to put all of our weight into our left leg. Our right leg's just going to go back behind us, and it's just balancing. So all of our weight's forward, our hips are going forward. We're just going to do a hip hinge. So we're just taking the sit bone back, and we're just going to do a row. And then we're just going to press up, squeezing the hips at the top. So coming down, row, and squeezing at the top. Should really be feeling this through the hamstrings and glutes. Okay, stop. Now we're going to do the other side. Now, you are definitely welcome to do this with one weight. Now let's start on the other leg there. So we're keeping the spine nice and straight. As if we're being chopped, we're going to take our sit bones back, keeping our spine nice and straight. Row, and squeeze up nice and tall. So our foot is just balancing up back there. Row, and squeeze up nice and tall. Row, and squeeze. So the whole time we want to keep the hips balanced. While all of our weight is in that front foot, we are still doing a lot of coordination with our opposite hip. There shouldn't be taking any load in that back foot. Stop. Okay, stopping there. Now we're going to do a plank pike knee tuck. So, I think the ball is best for this, in between the knees. Come down onto the toes there. Hands are a little bit higher, so keep the knees parallel there. And we're going to press out towards the plank. Then we're going to take the hips high for a little pike. And we're going to bring them back to a plank. And then bend the knees, come back for a tuck. Press out to a plank. Hips up. Come down to a plank. Okay, rest. Our next exercise, Bulgarian split squat. Used to hate these, but this is so important. So we're putting all of our weight into that back leg. We're just counterbalancing on, say, a lounge or a chair behind us. And then from here, we're just going to come down into a full range, 90-90, maybe even a little bit more than that. Make sure that we push through that front heel. Our back leg is not taking too much weight, but coming all the way down and pressing all the way up. So you don't need to do this with weight. But I think very important, knee tracking over the toe, even for that back leg. Okay, stop. And now we're just going to do that other leg. Okay, so coming down into that front leg, 90-90, and then pushing up through that front heel. Okay, stop. Okay, now we can have one weight. We're going to go into a curtsy, squat, curtsy. So we're going to start wide. The knees tracking over the toes is the important bit. So if you don't get as much range, the important bit is the direction here. Let's come into a sumo squat. Then we're going to press up, all the way into the left. Come into a curtsy and press up. Back to the sumo. Try and keep upright with upper body. And all of that weight into that front foot for that curtsy. Okay, so we'll do this. Rest. Okay, now this one might be a little bit hard. In between the ankles goes the football or the magic circle. And we're going for a diagonal pull. So hand on one hip, and then the other one is just going to reach the kettlebell over towards that foot. So you've got tension on the inside of the legs there. We're just going to come and turn that weight around, and then we're just going to do a press. So our knees track the same way, and our hips are staying very still. So we're just going to let that fall, bend diagonally. Keep the weight nice and even through those hips, and press. Okay, stop. Now we're going to the other side. Now as we do this, I'm going to show you from this angle. We've still got tension on the insides of the legs. Now we're not hyperflex those knees, but we're trying to keep the weight even as we go diagonally. So across, flexion with rotation of the lower back, and press. So we can increase the speed here. We're dealing with weight. This is making momentum around our body. A lot of lumbar pelvic control here. And rest. Okay, that's our exercises. Now we're just going to repeat that through. Okay, so starting with that magic circle press, knees pointing over the second toe. You can have a football in here as well. We're going down to that squat. Reach those knees tracking over the toe. Standing, pressing, and then let the weight go behind for a little tricep press. And then coming down, bicep curl. Okay, rest. And next exercise is going to be that single leg hip pierce with row. So you do this with one or two. All of our weight into that front leg. Our other leg goes back, but we're keeping the hips forward. And then we're just going to bend forward. Keep the back straight. And also the weights are naturally going to go. Then we're going to row and press up. So all the way down, nice straight back. You might feel this exercise here, and that is fine. The important bit is that you're feeling at the backs of the thighs and the hip of that front foot. On the contrary, you might also feel it with lots of change. Okay, rest. Okay, all of our weight into that front leg. And we're just going to be chopped in half. Our sit bone's going to go back. The weight's going to take us down. Row and press up. Note that there's no bending from the back. The back is staying very straight. Okay, rest. Now we're going to grab the ball or the magic circle, and we're going to go into those plank variations. If you're using the magic circle, I like a bit of elevation, so this is definitely high level. So you save the ball and stay on the ground. Hands in front. Press forward into that plank. Make sure those knees keep going forward. And we're going to knee tuck. Come forward. Pike the hips with the straight legs. So hips go up. Come back down to the plank. Knee tuck. Back to the plank. Hips nice and high. Back to the plank. Rest. Okay, Bulgarian split squat used to be my most hated, now my most essential. Get all the weight into the front. When we're ready, that front leg is driving the entire movement as low as it can go. If we lose integrity of movement earlier, it's better to do a smaller range so that we're doing the movement correctly, especially if we are focusing on rehab. This can definitely be an exercise regime that you just do, and you do really hard, and it doesn't matter about technique. It doesn't mean at all that it's bad for you. It just means that you're capable of large gross movements, but sometimes in rehab, we just need to correct a little bit of movement, and it reinforces a lot of good things for our rehab. Rest. Okay, we're going to go to the curtsies. We've got our weight in our hand. Okay, legs out wide. When we're externally rotating those hips, so we're turning our feet out, we'll make sure those knees track over those toes. Squeezing up, and then putting all of our weight into your leg. So come down, pushing through that front heel. Again, just doing what is controllable. Rest. Diagonal lift, placing this in between our ankles. You can use a football instead. And making sure that we're doing the same with hip hinge. So our hips are going back, our knees basically stay over our heels the whole time. So we're going to pull across and press. Across and press. Really engaging the core. This is quite a full body exercise. Very discreetly. Love. Rest. Okay, so across the body, hips are still facing forward even though we're reaching across. This is just such a lifelike movement. Last exercise. Workout complete. Okay, so that's your 15-minute exercise. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact your healthcare professional or someone that should know a little bit like me. Okay, so I don't claim to be like an expert, but I am like quite experienced and quite trained and qualified. I hope that this is helpful for your home program, whether you're a client of mine or whether you just wanted to do a little workout that's quick. So anyway, sorry about the talking and the details if you are one of those people. Okay, thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.